glad you could join us. We're here at Pelletier Florist, and we'd like to do something for the holidays, perhaps make an evergreen centerpiece. It's that time of year. My name is Susan, and Dawn is filming here at Pelletier Florist. This is Craig and Missy's shop here. We have some things gathered, and a lot of you may have some in your yard you could use. And if you don't have any on your property, perhaps you could get permission to pick some from someone, and you'll know it's nice and fresh, and it's a local sourcing, either something decor for your home or even for a gift might be nice. Here we have balsam, which is one of the main evergreens here in our area. It smells terrific. And it holds up real well. If we made the centerpiece now, it would still be lovely till Christmas and after. You could adorn it and give it some interest with different texture with the lovely white pine. And these are the most common around here. The other one is spruce, but spruce doesn't have such a nice fragrance, and it's a little bit picky. That works good outside though if you wanted to put something outdoors. And if you wanted to do extra special adornment, this is boxwood, which grows downstate real good, but it is readily available in shops and whatnot. It adds a nice texture. And cedar grows around here as well. This happens to be incense cedar, but we do have cedar. You might even have some cedar shrubs in your yard that could use a little pruning, and that keeps it interesting. So that would be the first place to start, is getting some evergreens. Now we brought some containers out to give you some ideas what you can use. The centerpiece with the candles, the longer one, is used in a dish like this, and we use wet Oasis to put the greens in and the candles, and we'll go through that step. But before we moved on to that, I thought perhaps I could show you some other different types of containers that work as well. If you wanted a different look, say you wanted to have a chimney, you could put the candle in this type, or another, maybe a ceramic bowl you may have, and you could put the candle in this and then work your evergreen around that. That's a very different look, quite elegant. And then you could even go with a nice sleigh, or you may even have something packed with your Christmas items, or you might come across something new that you'd like to use, and that's very festive on the table filled. And then say you have a big spot, maybe you're putting out food, a buffet table, and you'd like to put something on that, maybe just a bigger basket and a little bit larger with evergreen. And again, with this type of container, make sure there's a plastic liner in it, and your Oasis, which is wet, you'd put it up and up high enough, and then take the knife and cut it off, and then you build with that. And of course, this is the dry one. This little basket, local birch bark, it doesn't have a liner, but you can makeshift one with a piece of plastic, and then again put your Oasis in and up high enough so you can get your greens to soften the edge. And then even this one's actually a cement one, and that would make a lovely centerpiece as well. And don't forget, even mugs work good and you can use them later. Anything works. So we can start with this one though. This is the one we're going to use today. And as we talked about, this was the dry Oasis. You soak this in water, probably at least 20 minutes. You'll know if you soaked it all the way when you cut it. It should be wet through and through. You shouldn't see any dry spots. And this is the wet one. And this is the container, and as you can see, it's a little too long, so we want it to fit snugly in there. So I'm just going to cut a little bit off. and it slips right down inside. And then you want it to be up. If you cut it at the same level, then it's hard to have your greens at a nice angle. So if you just cut it like that, they'd all be sticking up to hit it. So you want to put some of them to give that nice soft look around the edge to get it up at an angle. So be sure that you leave your Oasis up high enough. So, and I'm not going to take a ruler to it. I'll eyeball it. It's not going to show anyway. There. And you can soften the edge a little bit. And there's little prongs in the bottom of this, and it's really secure. But if you think you'll be having it on the table and then moving it to put things and moving it often throughout the holiday season, you might want to secure it in there, either with some tape around all the way down, and a tape that's a color that might not show through your evergreen. And if you don't want to use the tape or don't have any thin tape, or would just prefer to use a piece of string, you could do that instead and tie it. So then that way when it's getting moved around, it wouldn't tumble out. But again, you don't have to use it if you don't want to, but it's a good idea. And then the other thing is the centerpiece that we're doing has candles in it, but you don't have to have candles if you would rather not. And just because you have them doesn't mean you have to light them, but it is a lovely ambiance and very special to light the candle. You can put them far apart or close together. If you like the look of one high, one low, you can push one in a lot farther and cut your Oasis even down a little bit more so you have that offset look. So here we're just about ready to get started on that. Okay, so we went to the and got our evergreen and started cutting a little bit to get set up started here. Most of the pieces we'll be using are somewhat smaller on the end, and so just a regular pair of scissors that you're actually won't be using to sew with or whatever. They're utility scissors, work great for this, or if you have some small snips that you're comfortable with, you can use those. The bigger pieces like this, if you would use something like that, you would probably want to take a nice sharp knife before you inserted it so it would drink good, and just do a little light scraping so you would be able to have a better moisture transmission in the warm house. Especially when we had talked about the bigger basket, you might want to use some bigger pieces. So that's a knife comes in handy for that. But today we're just going to use the pair of scissors. And usually it's nice to start with some balsam to get your shape. So, and you'll probably use primarily balsam. It's the most readily available, and if you like, you could just use all balsam. Usually try to make an oval shape with this, but if you're using a different container, you could go round. Right now, say you want to have it come out at least this long, and then you take your finger and strip any off and insert it at a nice angle, so when you're sitting at the table it comes right down and touches the table. And it doesn't have to be perfect all the way around. It makes it more natural if you alter the types of greens you put around the bottom. If you're using more than one, it makes it look more natural, so it's not all the way like this, just in and out makes it soft. And then here we might want to do, and of course you might want to save your needles because they smell so good. And again, we're doing the angle thing again, down. So, and I made these branches on the edge a little bit shorter and a little bit longer here to keep the oval look. And you just keep going. And again, this is a nice project to do with your loved ones, family members, close friends, and just sit down together. Going to gather the greens is a nice project, a group project too. So, and then again, keep your angle. And the other thing is, if you wanted to speed things along, you could just do a little pile ahead. And you can also establish yourself. This one had a little idea of his own. You could almost see it in the woods with a little bird landing on it. And sometimes it's nice to use a littler one. You can shorten one up and come up around like that. We're going to put our candles in shortly, but you could just get started a little bit to see the shape. And we want to give it some 3D. So what I'll do is I'll actually go to a little bit of pine to give it some shape. And again, we're just pulling the needles off. You'll be able to put more in your foam if you take some of the greens off. A nice big one here. Might tame that little piece there a little bit. So you're just gently coming up. You got a little bit of boxwood, just to show the difference in the greens, and then we'll put the candle in so you can really get going on your. Of course, there'll be some decor that goes in it if you want. You can put berries and cones, cinnamon sticks, stuff like that. Anything, even when you're going through your holiday items, you might come across some things too. So I'm going to stop here and put some candles in, and depending on what your decor is in your house, what your favorite colors are, if you're giving it to Aunt Mabel or to your sister or a neighbor, you might consider what their preferences are for the holidays. So we'll continue greening. When it's all greened, then we'll decide, you can decide which ones you would prefer to put in yours to personalize it. And as you can see, we've just been building, and of course, if you were sitting with your family members working on it, you'd be visiting, maybe having a cup of tea or hot cocoa and giggling as well, with some Christmas music in the background, but or whatever music you like, or no music at all. But we're building along, and we're just alternating the pieces. I'm gonna flip it so you can see. And if it's all balsam, that's fine too. That would be real pretty, and it just smell really good. I had this nice piece of pine. I thought it's got a lot of nice smaller pieces to add some dimension to this side over here. So I just snipped it up like that. And the little pieces that may not be what you might feel looks fabulous in your centerpiece, maybe you could save that piece for in a window box or something. Nothing there. And we're coming right along. Just a little bit more greening, and we can think about decorating it some more. Okay? Okay, so we feel like we've got most of the greens in, and you feel like you've filled most of your holes. You can't see your foam on the sides and whatnot. If it seems like there's a little dip here and there, that's good. That makes it a natural place to put some of your decorations, a bow, cones, berries, flowers, jingle bells. any a little bird or a little sign, whatever you would like to weave into it. Some people use little glass balls. We right so far have gone with the white candles, and we'll probably stick with something like this for this centerpiece. But you could totally change the look, say, like we had mentioned before, if you're making them for gifts or whatnot, you could think, geez, my sister loves burgundy. I think I'll put burgundy candles, and she likes a little gold, so we'll do that instead for her. And then, of course, we'll tweak the rest of the decorations that way. If you were going with this, then you may want to go, we have plaid ribbon here. Buffalo plaid's popular this year. Burlap, colored burlap actually doesn't go out of style either. And then you could, if you switched and went with this, which is very nice. These are sage candles, go in lots of different decors, very peaceful looking. You could even go with this, or any of these actually, but this is lovely, a real nice country look, very relaxing. Or you could even change the look of this, and sky's the limits, you know, whatever choice you feel works for your need. Okay, and we'll get some decorations going, and I'd like to show you how to make a bow. So, I don't know how many of you have made bows before. You don't have to have a bow if you'd rather not. It's kind of fun. If your bow isn't made and you have just a roll of ribbon and you're not sure how to go about it, we can do that if you'd like. Some people might like to have just one up here high with hardly any tails. Sometimes it's fun to have a tail, a couple of them coming down. You can kind of picture where you'd like it. Maybe here there's a little bit of a hole and a little bit of a tail. This ribbon happens to have wire along the edge, but it doesn't have to have it. So you gather it up in your hand. So you left yourself your tail. And then if you want a big bow, you leave a big loop, but we don't really need that. So we'll just make the size. And so you just come back, and when you get here, like in this case, this ribbon has the pattern only on one side and not on the other. So we want to flip it so when it's facing up, you have the design on facing out. If we hadn't turned it in the back like that, we'd have one side with no decoration. So don't forget your little turn. And then you want this loop to match that. And then take it again and flip it right in between your fingers where you're pinching. And then another one. Sometimes you might want to make all your loops the same, or you can make one in the back just a little bit bigger. And then again the same on this side, and you see how I flipped it again. I don't really need to have it too much bigger than this, so I'll just do a little quick, and they call this a button if you put a smaller one in the middle, and then flip it again so you get that nice design down the front. And there we have that, and we're gonna cut the, of course, good scissors are better, but that worked. And then we take a piece of wire. If you absolutely don't have wire, you can use string and put it right through here, right where you were pinching it. And then with your fingers pull so it's nice and tight, and then you're going to twist it and then twist it down. You can shape it after, so you don't have to worry if it's not looking fabulous right now. Right up against the end. You have a pick. This is a pick with a wire on the end. If you just have a stick without the wire, that's okay too, it'll work, but these are the best for this. It holds them real secure, and you can take your bow and reuse it again easily next year if it's on this. And then I just took the wire, went all the way down, and now I'm just spinning my little wire that was attached to it. And you can use it like this, but depending on the light, it can pick up the metal and make it shine. So for a real finished look, you can take some floral tape, and that's readily available at the shop if you don't have any at home, and pull it as you go, and it makes it tight and almost glue to itself. And look, now you don't even see those wires. You're just going to see your bow. And then shape it the way you think it would look pretty. And once it's in, you can shape it even more. Did we say we wanted it over here or over here? Let's stick it in here for now. We can always switch it to the other side if you want after, once you get going, but at least you get the idea. Now that we're at this stage, it might be nice to put some cones in. We have white pine cones here, and you could probably gather some around. The snow's not too deep, maybe might not be covering them all. You may have some already, and these two you can pick them up at the shop. If you like something like that, that gives a very different look, very pretty. You put that on a pick, like similar way that we did the bow. And this actually is a different type of cone. There's spruce cones, Jersey cones, and for attaching this, you put your wire in between where the bracts are, so it's all hidden in there, and then twist it just like what we did with the bow. And then this one, of course, has already been done, but again, you're twisting like this, and then you're putting your tape on at the end, so then it's nice and secure. And then that one would be a pretty one in there too, if you like that. Sometimes one with a little paint makes it look like snow. That adds a totally different look. This one came as a pick. That's kind of fun. You may have something like that in your supplies already, or you may come across something in your travels as a little highlight. And it works kind of nice because it has a little whimsy to it. Circles usually give motion to something, and it has a little of that. You can naturally stick that in, and it's a good balance with your bow, so you have a little bit of a focal and another focal here, and you can see it from this side, so it keeps it real interesting. If you like, you could always put a little bird in or something like that. That's cute too. So that's where we're at with this theme. But had we gone with this ribbon and these candles, you may want to have put burgundy berries in there. It's a branch that you can pick up, and it break the sections apart, and again wire them to a pick like we did with the bow and the cones, and you could use that in there. And then we have, of course, some beautiful carnations to freshen it up for the holiday. Fresh flowers are always sweet, so that would give a totally different look if you had gone with that, maybe for your sister. And then if you had gone with something woodsy, and maybe even the green, someone that loves the woods, maybe you could have put a little deer in it, or you may have a special little ornament. It would give it a totally different look. And then the woodsy cones would have been cute, and flowers, of course. Any type of flowers would go with this theme. And then say we had gone with bright red one, maybe you could have gone with even the white candles and red. No one say you can't. You could put peppermint sticks in there, little candy canes or something, or a red cardinal and bright red candlesticks, and put that in there as well. So you get the idea that we're still trying to personalize for whoever's going to be getting them. And if you're doing these at the kitchen table and there's 3 or 4 people working on them, everybody's is going to be different, and they're all going to be special in their own way. So don't be shy to get creative. And as we were going through the different options for decorating, even an ornament from a tree that's probably meant to hang in the Christmas tree sometimes is sweet. We have some here that say hope, peace, joy, rejoice, peace, something like that. You could put it on a pick, but even just weaving it in and making your special message a part of your bow theme. What I'm doing is I'm just taking the hanger that was meant to hang on the tree and just tucking it around, and then once you get your thing on, this one says rejoice, but the peace ones, they're all sweet, and if you have a snowflake, that would be nice, or even cinnamon sticks tied together. Again, it's whatever one that you like with your decor. So, and then we have some flowers that might look nice in that. Buttons work good. They're called button flowers. You could put spray roses, regular roses. In this case, this is a mini carnation, and it has quite a few pieces per stem. So you have the longer ones. They come made on a stem, so you might want to see which ones have the long stems, which ones are bigger, and you can gently break them apart. Even the buds are sweet. So now you know what you have to work with on that one branch. And might be nice to get a little bit of color right in here. And if you don't like after you're done where you put it, you can just move it. You can use your scissors if you want to cut them to shape, and if you have a fingernail you can use that also, but as long as there's a clean break and it'll be able to drink. Put some on this side over here, and maybe a nice long one over here so you have a balance. And then sometimes it's nice to put another one to pull your eye up into the arrangement. Had a little stick there. There. And a little bit of height. And wait. You could even use, if you like a look of some twigs, and like in the red one or the burgundy one or a wild one with the deer, even some red twig dogwood, which maybe the moose wouldn't mind sparing some. Again, make sure you get permission if it's not on your property to get some, but that adds a nice height. And you could also put a little bird in that as well, so another type of decor. And then you just keep putting in your, and if you want, you can use a couple different types of flowers. Doesn't have to be just one. And if you did say put one rose in it, sometimes it's nice to put it in a focal place. Maybe not real up high, but close to maybe the bow or this, or wherever you think it looks good. And if you think you would like to put a little bit more, this is called limonium. We also have baby's breath, other types. They're called fillers, which are very soft. Some people think it looks a little bit like snow, and these last a long time too, so you could break some little pieces of this and put that in there if you like that look as well, and sprinkle that in wherever you want. And then nice little hole over here, so again, where you see a hole, your hole's coming in handy again. It's like, oh look, there's a little hole right here. Wouldn't that be nice? How's that? So we're still building, and you might want to keep working it a little bit and whatnot, but we'll move ahead to say a week's gone by and it's on your table and you're thinking, it's kind of warm in here, you may want to make sure that you give it some water. Perhaps when you water your plants, you can think about giving the Oasis, and just enough. You can stick your finger down inside, and you can stick your finger in and then gently put that back. I can see that it has enough water. You can check, that'll help. And if you did have fresh flowers in it, you could always just gently pull it out. And in this case, use a nice sharp, maybe once a week or so, recut them. Just take a little bit off so they can continue to drink. That's helpful. And of course, if you do end up burning your candles, don't go close to your greens. And if you like to use your candles often, you may want to have a backup supply so you can enjoy your holiday centerpiece all season long. We've worked on a couple different centerpieces. This one is very similar to the one that we just worked on. A little bit different flowers, a little bit different sign on it, a peaceful message. We found some bells that might look cute in it. Any little other adornments that you can think of work well. And I'm going to set that to a side. And we talked about the watering. And we had saved all these nice little pieces of balsam and the pine, the things that are going to smell real nice. You might have a special little bowl or something to put in with them. You can put maybe some stray little berries you might have. You can snip them off and lay them in there. That would be cute. If you happen to have a little bird, a sweet little cardinal, but it smells so nice. You can take clementine peelings or even dried cranberries or cinnamon sticks and enjoy the fragrance. If you happen to put it where the sun hits it too, the room will have a nice fragrance to it. So it's been nice having you. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you'll feel inspired to give it a whirl and something for your own home or for some gifts. We want to wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Take good care from all of us here at Pelletier Florist. Thank you.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We